Yeah, I think Kathy Engelbert has to start as the commissioner to look at this thing from a professionalism standpoint when it comes to the WNBA, which in my opinion was started with her and her dealings with the WNBA and their union as they were trying to get some of these deals done. The way she treated them. Nafisa Collier had to come out and say, okay, this is the way that I was responded to. I think that was the first black eye. But then you do this deal after 30 years and now they are getting paid to be professionals and you do have the TV contracts and now you're putting yourself in a position to uplift this league, right? For this league to truly ascend in the eyes of the viewers, in the eyes of the fans. And then every week it's some bull crap, right? We're seeing players who don't even average 10 points a game. And every day, that's who's on your networks or on your TVs and answering questions and starting back and forth about things that aren't basketball. What should be being talked about in this league is the Minnesota Lynx and Olivia Miles, who's come in as a rookie and taken over the league. And now Nafisa Collier is back, right? Kayla McBride hits 10 threes over the weekend. Talk about that. You know, talk about the Golden State Valkyrie, who now with Gabby Williams is a team that's there in second place as an expansion team. Oh, by the way, Asia Wilson still hoops. The Las Vegas Aces are still good. And Chelsea Gray does something phenomenal every single week as the point guard. Like, talk about that. And two, be real. Indiana matters, right? You got Kelsey Mitchell, this woman getting like a PhD and hitting 30 a game. And then you got Caitlin Clark, who, yes, no matter what anybody says, it could be different ways, right? She could be one of the faces of the league, and you can acknowledge that she still has to get better at basketball, but that she matters. And so to me, it's about pushing the right things, not only if you're the executives, but the players as well. Talking about the right things, making sure the right things are in the forefront of people's minds. And the last thing is for me is if we are men, right? And as former athletes, and we understand how hard it is to get respect in the game, don't make a mockery of what these women are going through. Don't make jokes about things you'll never understand. Stay out of it. If you don't have some input, either right or wrong, that could be, whether it's impactful or helpful, then let them people be. Because dudes who can no longer play, who want to make jokes about something that is incredibly serious, are absolute clowns.
Man, we really have to get into what's happening with the WNBA because this whole situation is starting to get ridiculous. Now we're seeing former NBA players who are 7 feet tall apparently declaring for the WNBA draft.
After careful consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines, I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA's eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May 2027. I am definitely not here to mock, make fun of, or disrespect any community or personal choices. I am simply asking that the current rules be applied equally to everyone. The rules that represent the very values many WNBA players and coaches have publicly advocated for. My team and I are prepared to ensure these guidelines are applied equally, consistently, and without exception. And I look forward to the WNBA honoring its stated principles. See you at training camp.
The WNBA has to own some of this situation because the players themselves have repeatedly made it clear that protecting women's sports is something they care about. That's why this whole situation is becoming so complicated, because those statements are now being brought back into the conversation.
In vain, in that story with ESPN, you talked about wanting to protect young girls who shouldn't have to go against biological men. Just can you expand your viewpoint on that?
I mean, I think I said what I said. I think it's kind of common sense. And I think I'll always believe in that. I think it's really important to protect children, and that's little girls who are also involved in that category. And so I stand on what I said, and I always believe that.
Yeah. Do you see your advocacy on that, like, taking any form going forward?
You know, I don't know. I'm not a very political person, but I do have beliefs. I have morals, and I'll always stand on those and be true to who I am. And I think people are going to take it how they want to take it, but I've never even really said anything about that. And so when it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that.
What really pushed this situation into another level was the political attention that started surrounding Sophie Cunningham. The WNBA itself didn't really make any major statements at the time, but President Donald Trump publicly expressed his support for Cunningham, while Vice President J.D. Vance called her inspiring. And Cunningham eventually had to address the situation herself, making it clear that she wasn't really a political person. But by then, she was starting to see small protests outside Indiana Fever games, along with rallies and counter-protests connected to what she had said. That's when it became obvious that this thing was getting much bigger than just a conversation surrounding one player. And this was all happening before those former professional players started attaching themselves to the situation, which is where things really became even more complicated.
To the official.
Former NBA player Ines Kanter-Frida making it official, submitting a letter declaring for the 2027 WNBA draft, challenging the league over who qualifies to play.
If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA.
Former NBA player and Minnesota Senate candidate Royce White also says he wants his shot at playing in the WNBA, posting this photo of himself in a wig with the hashtag #LetHerPlay. The WNBA says only women are eligible to play, but doesn't define what constitutes a woman. Now pressure is building on the league to clarify exactly who can play.
It's just astounding that the WNBA can't define the W in the name. And I think we're going through a very necessary conversation about who's actually eligible.
It comes after Indiana Fever Sophie Cunningham spoke out against transgender athletes, telling ESPN, quote, "I want to protect young girls in a locker room or young girls in sport who shouldn't have to go against biological men."
Trans rights are human rights.
Those comments drawing pro-transgender protests outside Chicago's United Center this weekend.
That is just a hard hit.
Inside, Cunningham was at the center of another controversy after Chicago Sky's Dejanay Carrington was ejected for this flagrant 2 foul on Cunningham. Afterward, Carrington posted, quote, "white privilege." Cunningham fired back, quote, "Last year I did the same thing and I got kicked out, and I deserve to be kicked out. There's no reason even to play that card."
Now the controversy has moved directly into the political arena, and the WNBA is taking plenty of heat over how it handled the players speaking about protecting women's sports and their concerns over transgender women sharing locker rooms. But the WNBPA's response went in a different direction, making it clear that the union represents more than 200 people with different experiences, lifestyles, cultures, and opinions. The union said it stands for justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, while also saying that protecting women's sports can exist alongside those values. At the same time, the WNBPA condemned hate, abuse, and the demonization of transgender people, arguing that those things only create more fear, division, and harm. They also urged fans to report hateful, violent, or abusive behavior instead of allowing the situation to turn into something worse. And ultimately, their position was that these difficult conversations can continue, but the players are not going to be turned into political pawns.
Women, how come you didn't write in your language those born female? How come you didn't make that clear? Because if you were born a female, even if you're transitioning to being a female, because you weren't born a female, that would make you ineligible to enter the WNBA. Why didn't you do that? Otherwise, you're going to have cats 6'8" with goatees walking in your league or claiming they're going to walk in your league. You can deny them entry. You can refuse to draft them, but you're going to open yourself up to potential legal action until you clarify what the hell is going on. Player eligibility is collectively bargained, meaning this is also an issue involving the WNBA Players Association, not simply a unilateral decision for the commissioner, Cathy Engelbert. Which means that, yes, the league office should have done more, but the Players Association, you got to get on top of it.
What are y'all talking about, bro? Anybody who thinks a man should play women's sports, a born man should play women's sports, you're an idiot. You are an idiot, bro. You are an idiot. I don't care who you are. You ain't got to talk to me. You can be mad at me. I don't talk to none of y'all anyway. None of y'all. I don't talk. You are an idiot. Anybody thinks a born man should be playing women's sports, you are an idiot. And you are an insecure person. Okay? 9 out of 10 times, that ain't nothing but a play because motherfuckers not good enough to play with men. You want to just say you a woman and go play with women to try to dominate? That's whack. And you know what it is? It's mostly white men that ain't got no athleticism because we've been dominating basketball and sports, even our women dominating it. Now y'all want to try to put y'all men in women's sports to dominate it because we dominate basketball? Man, I know the play, but anybody who thinks this shit is cool is an idiot. Straight idiot. I said.
How I'm seeing it is it's about allowing everyone to be their authentic self.
No, shut up, bitch!
I'm just having a blast in my feminine era. I never thought that I was a woman. You know, I've always trusted the science, and I thought I was a man my entire life. But you know, after further review, strong look at my personal preferences, it would appear that I am indeed sometimes identifying as a transgender woman, and I think it's only fair I get a chance to play with some of my queens here in the twilight of my career, my athletic prime. It's just astounding that the WNBA can't define the W in the name. And I think we're going through a very necessary conversation about who's actually eligible to play in some of these professional sports leagues, I guess on both sides of the gender spectrum. My goal is to help elevate the WNBA.
If you're enjoying videos like this, make sure you hit that like button because it really helps support the channel. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video.